Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at the severe weather event which is going to be happening over areas into the south central and southeastern United States, where you could be expecting some pretty large tornadoes and hail, as well as some damaging winds to impact your area. I'm going to include my personal forecast at the end of the video, which is going to include my hail, tornado, and wind risk maps, and then also I'm going to put my rainfall map and my categorical outlook map in this video at the end of the video. So make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. We're going to be going through a couple models, as well as what the Storm Prediction Center is showing, as well as what I'm personally forecasting. Now we're going to start off here with the National Weather Service. We have some high wind warnings and watches and advisories over areas into Montana and the Dakotas, as well as there into Maine, New Hampshire, and into Massachusetts. We also have some winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. You could be seeing a little bit of snow there for northern Maine. Hydraulic outlooks over there for areas into North Dakota and into northwest Minnesota. Red flag warnings for both Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado, as well as southern Texas. We also have some flood watches and in anticipation for those severe storms over areas into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Georgia, as well as some winter weather advisories there for western Montana and into northern Idaho, as well as southern areas into southern New Mexico and southernmost Texas. So here is your current National Weather Service radar, and you do see we have a line of thunderstorms moving through Pennsylvania through into West Virginia, and then as the further south you get, you start to get a bit of supercell activity where you're getting these breaking off thunderstorms, and that could indicate a couple of those stronger storms that go a little bit rogue, and those could actually be very severe. Now you're getting a bit of flooding rains, more heavy downpours than severe storms over areas into central Georgia, but really you have this line of very straight thunderstorms moving through areas into South Carolina and Georgia, causing some straight line winds, so definitely some very damaging winds most likely associated with this line of thunderstorms moving through North Carolina and South Carolina, and in the next couple of hours it's probably going to be off the scene. You're going to start talking about this next wave of precipitation, which is already moving through Texas and New Mexico, and that's going to be moving to the east, and that's what's going to be bringing your severe weather to the deep south. So here's the storm reports from yesterday, and you do see we have about 8 reported tornadoes. Now for confirmed tornadoes, you only have 7. Now I know a lot of you guys probably heard about the tornadoes in Tennessee, and I know about 22 injured or so. So definitely a lot of damage done there in Tennessee, and they're still trying to get the exact amount. They're still surveying, so they're still trying to figure out whether it's an EF2, EF3, or what ranking the tornadoes were. But definitely there were some very damaging tornadoes that moved through that area, especially through Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Saw some of the worst severe weather yesterday. 24 wind reports and 41 hail reports, and total of 73 reports of severe weather in those states. Now, all we have for today, luckily, is just some wind reports, so nothing too crazy happening today. So definitely nothing very substantial. Yesterday, there were a couple of reports of EF2, EF3 tornadoes, so definitely very, very strong tornadoes moving through those areas. So here's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing as far as its convective outlook. Now, something that's really stunned me personally is that they have a marginal risk there for areas into Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, West Virginia. It definitely makes sense. It's very early for these marginal risks to be moving all the way that far to the north. You have this strong area that's bringing in some very warm air that's moving from the south, and you have 60s and 70s approaching very far to the north. So it does make sense that you're going to see some thunderstorm activity. It's just something that caught my eye when I looked at the Storm Prediction Center. Other than that, you have a marginal risk for a large majority here of the south, and this would be for today. So this would be wrapping up early on tomorrow morning, which would be Wednesday, the 4th of March. Slight risk there for Texas, where you do have a little bit more of that lift and instability. Now, something that's going to be very important, you're going to have these winds at the lowest level of the atmosphere. So take this as the lowest level of the atmosphere right here. You would have winds coming, let's say, out of the south, and then as you progress further to the north, they start tilting to the east or the west or whatever direction. We'll be taking a look at that later on, but definitely you're gonna have a lot of directional wind shear, which basically means that you're gonna have winds rotating from different directions higher up in the higher elevate or the higher levels of the atmosphere, and that's definitely something that can produce some hail and potentially some damaging winds. So definitely that's something that we're going to take into account with our forecast that I'm going to show you later on in the video. Now, your tornado risk, also something that caught my eye, again, for that same area that was in that marginal risk, seeing a 2% chance for tornadoes there over areas into the mid-Atlantic, as well as there in Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. And then there for that area that was in under slight risk for Texas, you're seeing a 2% chance of tornadoes there for central Texas. Now, here's your wind damage, or your probability for wind damage. Again, 5% chance there for the mid-Atlantic, and then 5% chance there stretching from the coastal southeast through the deep south and then into areas into Texas, and a 15% chance there for anywhere in those yellows. That's for central Texas, where you have a 15% chance of wind damage and hail. You have a 15% chance there, again, for central Texas, and for the deep south states, about a 5% chance. Now, here is your day 2 convective outlook, which would be for tomorrow, which would again be Wednesday, the 4th of March. Now you're seeing a slight risk there for Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and through Florida and Georgia. Now here's your tornado risk, and we have actually a 5% chance there. So quite a high tornado risk. Definitely nothing too crazy, but definitely it's still on the table that you can see some tornadoes over those areas in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and through Georgia and Florida. Wind damage, 15% chance there for those same areas, and hail, again, 15% chance there, but for a little bit of a smaller area over Louisiana, into Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and a little bit there of Georgia. Now, here's your day 3 severe thunderstorm outlook, and we're seeing they only have a probabilistic forecast for this one. They don't have individual forecasts for tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds, but for their probabilistic, they're showing a 15% chance there for Florida and Georgia, and a 5% chance surrounding that. Now here's your categorical outlook, and this would be for Thursday the 5th, going through early on Friday morning, and you're seeing a slight risk there for northern Florida, southern Georgia, where you have the most chance of seeing some severe weather on this would be by the 5th on Thursday. So here's your NAM 3cam model, and we're going to be going through this, and then we'll show you some of the predicted rainfall totals from this severe weather event, and we'll be kind of going a little bit more in depth after we get past that. Now, here's what the NAM 3cam model is showing, and this is a very high resolution model. You see, as we get later on into the daytime hours of Wednesday, which would be tomorrow again, you see that low pressure starting to appear on this map. You're starting to see over areas into central Texas, again, that very strong tornado or very, very heavy rainfall, and you're seeing again some supercell activity. You're getting these individual little supercells according to the NAM3cam. Now it's not going to be in this exact location, but it's a good indication that you're going to see these supercells start to develop. That a very short range model is picking up on this 20 hours out. This is a very good indication it'll actually happen, and definitely it's a good chance that it's going to happen. And once you start to see this on the model, it's a very good indication it'll happen. But definitely the location is still up for grabs. It could move a couple miles to the east, to the west, to the north, to the south. So definitely a lot of things that can still change, and we'll be picking through those as we get later on today and getting into tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll probably upload on that potential snowfall threat for the coastal northeast, so we'll definitely have to talk about that, and I'll make a video on that regarding that snowfall threat. So definitely make sure you are subscribed and you're staying tuned to the channel. So we have these severe thunderstorms moving through. This would be later on Wednesday after you have all that daytime heating. After you get past usually the nighttime hours, you get these more spread out thunderstorms. The daytime hours, you usually see the most intense thunderstorms where you have them usually kind of banding together. sticking together. As you get into the nighttime hours, you start to lose all that daytime heating that happened, and you have very warm temperatures here in the deep south. So definitely that daytime heating definitely helping to really raise the potential for severe weather here. Now this would be by Wednesday. Overnight, still seeing a couple of severe thunderstorms. Thursday really starts to get going over Alabama and Georgia, and you see those reds and oranges and yellows indicating very heavy rainfall there. Now this would be later on Thursday, and again they get a little bit more sporadic as you get later on in the day, and then it's really just some downpours after that. Now here's what the National Weather Service is predicting as far as its rainfall, and anywhere in those lightest greens you're seeing about under an inch of rainfall, 1 to 2 inches in those kind of lighter greens there. And then as you get into the darker greens, that's about 2 to 3 inches, 3 to 5 inches as you get into the yellows. And if you get into the oranges, that's about 4 to 5, and maybe even a little bit more than that. But luckily, we don't have any areas over 5 inches according to the National Weather Service. But we do have this pocket that kind of sticks out over southern Georgia, southern Alabama, and northern Florida, where you're expected to see around 4 inches of rainfall. Other than that, you have a good 2 to 3 inches of rainfall as well over there. For central Texas, you have a good 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. Now, here's what the NAM3CAM model is showing as far as its CAPE values. And CAPE is convective available potential energy. And this is measured in joules per kilogram. And this basically measures, usually we want somewhere in these lighter pinks here. That's over 1,000. That's where you can get some really good pop-up thunderstorms. And you look at this to see how much energy you have in the atmosphere. Now, also something you see on this map, you see these little wind barbs right here. Now, you see when you have those yellows, those are very high in the atmosphere. The greens kind of in the mid latitudes of that atmosphere, and then the whites pretty much at your surface. So you see, the white is these are indicating where your winds are coming from, and you see from the white to the yellow, you're seeing a very large change in where these winds are coming from. Especially as you get into Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, you see the greatest change in where these winds are coming from. So it's a little bit more scientific here, but definitely it's something that you don't want to see. You don't want to see these. You want to see these winds kind of on top of each other, like you see over Kentucky and Tennessee. These would be two good examples of very little severe weather. Unfortunately, you do have that indication that you'll have a little bit of mid-level shear. So, unfortunately, that is something that's going to help aid these thunderstorms. Now, getting into your CAPE, you're seeing as you get into these lighter pinks, that's what you want to see if you want some thunderstorms. And as you get into almost those oranges, that's when you're getting a lot of severe weather. Most likely, and you start to see that as you get into Wednesday over parts of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and Alabama, and even there into Florida. Now, as we continue this would be by Thursday, and the CAPE really dies down from Wednesday, but it's still there over Florida, southern Georgia, and again, you saw that in the SPC outlook, where that was really the bullseye for your severe thunderstorm activity on Thursday. Now, here's what I'm forecasting as far as your severe weather, and I did start making some more graphics for severe weather, and I've already started working on our hurricane season graphics, so definitely stay tuned to the channel. I'm looking to put out some extensive coverage of this severe weather that's going to be happening, and mainly the severe weather will be happening probably from March through July, and then it starts dying down a little bit. Now, here's your total rainfall forecast, under an inch for many of these areas. Now, this is from today all the way through the 5th, so all the way until the midnight hours on the 5th of March. Now, under an inch of rainfall here through the deep south and through the eastern seaboard. We have 1 to 2 inches of rainfall here for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, through Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. 2 to 3 inches in this dark green through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and through Georgia and South Carolina. We also have that there for Texas and southeasternmost New Mexico. We have 3 to 5 inches here, again, where you saw where the bullseye for that rainfall was over areas into southernmost Mississippi and Alabama, and through northern Florida and into southern and central parts of Georgia. Now, here's your chance for tornadoes, and I did make this as a new graphic that I've made, and this is one I've never used on the channel yet. Now, this is only for the 4th. I only made these for the 4th. The 5th is when it gets a little bit more undecided, and I only want to really do these specific severe weather parameter ones for only a day out, because after that it gets a little bit more uncertain with what's going to happen. So for tornadoes, I'm putting a low chance there for southern Texas, southern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, as well as southern Georgia and northern Florida. Here's your wind chance. I'm putting a low chance, but in a broader region there for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, through Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Now, I even have a moderate risk there for parts of Texas, Louisiana, through into Mississippi and Alabama. Here's your chance for some hail, and it's low for all of these areas through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and into Florida, and even there a little bit of South Carolina. Now, here's your general convective outlook. That's my personal one. I use the same rankings as the SPC, but it's my personal forecast. General thunderstorm risk here for much of the deep south and southeast. Now, this is going to be for the 4th, and I'll also do this for the 5th. Now, general thunderstorm risk, this would be for Thursday. Now, marginal risk in the darker green for northern Florida and then through southern South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, through much of Louisiana and into southeasternmost Texas. A slight risk there in that yellow for much of the Gulf states through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and through Florida. And then also we have for the 5th, which would be Thursday, we're looking at a general thunderstorm risk there for the southeast, and then a marginal risk there again for the southeast, more to the coastal regions. Now, I do apologize for this video being a little bit longer. I did have a lot of information to cover, and I'll start to cut down on the time of these videos, but there was definitely a lot of information to cover, and I'll try to cut down on the time of these videos, but really I do apologize. Next time I'll try to hit for more around 11, 12, 13 minutes. This one was a bit longer. Now, that is going to wrap up the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications so you don't miss video when I do upload. Anyways, guys, that was Live Orthogon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.